Hello and welcome back to another video. In this video, we will do something a little bit different. Talk about the 15 things most commuters dislike about the New York City subway. Or really, 15 things that I dislike about the New York City subway. Before we begin, a disclaimer that this video is supposed to be a joke and that I like the New York City subway. But just because you like something, it does not mean that it is something without its flaws. Without further ado, let's get into it. Number 1, when you miss your train. This is pretty self-explanatory because no one likes wasting time in a station for the next 4 to 8 minutes for the next train. This is not really a problem like in the Lexington Avenue Express, but when you go outside of the city and into the Rockways, when the next train is in 16 minutes, that is when you're screwed. The worst part is when the conductor sees you making a run for the train only for them to close the door right in your face. Like, come on, that train was barely full. Wait an extra second so I can get on and, get to where I need to go. Number 2, the average speed of trains. So, a few years ago, I was looking up some New York City subway trivia to stump some of my friends, and that is when I saw the average speed of the New York City subway is 17 miles per hour. 17 miles per hour? That is slower than biking. Like, you would expect that a relatively high piece of tech can go at 55 miles per hour, but no, these trains are extremely slow. There's nothing that screams 17 miles per hour when you're on the one train and they crawl onto 14th Street, 18th Street, 23rd Street, 28th Street, and then 34th Street. Like, at that point, just take the express. Number 3, the lack of transfer between the G and the J. Why is there not a transfer between the G and J at Union Avenue? It is so obvious, and it will help supplement what was lost when the city tore down the southern half of the BMT Myrtle Avenue line. Moreover, this transfer will boost trips in Brooklyn so that people don't have to transfer onto the L, then on the J at Broadway Junction. It is such an obvious transfer, yet the MTA won't do it. Number 4, the Queensway. Okay, this is a huge mistake that New York City is throwing millions at. Like, why is this project ever considered? This is a transit right-of-way, not a potential greenway. Also, a far more superior plan exists, the Queens Link, and that will integrate transit with green space. But then again, the well-connected political elite think that Queens needs another park that won't be maintained instead of a train line that will integrate park space. Also, this park will block any transit reactivation on the branch because tearing up a park in the future is not a good look to your constituents. Just see what happened when the MTA tried to dig up a small portion of Central Park. All of this means that outrageous wait times for Rockaway and Ozone Park residents will continue. If you want a full video on how terrible the Queensway is, let us know in the comments below. But for now, if you want our thoughts on the Queens Link, please check out the Queens Link podcast episode. Number 5, the C train. What is wrong with the C train? Everything. It lives in the shadow of the A train, runs every 12 minutes during rush hour, and is only 8 cars long. As more developments are being built on the C train's route, crowding will only get worse, and the MTA wants to put CBTC to decrease headways. But the main reason why the C train is so bad is because of math. The I&D Fulton Street line, where the C train runs, has multiple branches, and only one pair of tracks leading into it. All of the capacity is given to the A train because, the A train serves 3 branches. The only way to boost the C train is to build a new East River tunnel to the Brooklyn. There are many options, so if you're interested, watch our podcast episode on the C and R trains. Number 6, DeKalb Junction. This junction is just terrible. Every time, without fail, whenever I ride a train through that junction, the train just takes a nap because of some merging conflict ahead of the station. This junction used to be even worse because, at-grade junctions were a thing before 1959, but even so, it is still very bad. The only way to save this junction is the inner lining, but the MTA is not really considering that because, they're the MTA. Number 7, 2nd Avenue subway delays. Why did it take so long to get 3 new stations for the 2nd Avenue Subway? This thing should have been built a long time ago with 4 tracks. Now we're stuck with the Lexington Avenue line, and that line is always crowded. Like, come on, MTA, get your act together and build the rest of the 2nd Avenue Subway with 4 tracks. Number 8. Construction costs. Speaking of new subway projects, why are construction costs here so out of control? Like, it shouldn't cost $2.1 billion a mile to build a new subway line. Now the MTA is outdoing themselves because it will cost more than $3 billion per mile to get Phase 2 finished. At this point, the MTA needs to halt construction and figure out how to get the prices down significantly. Because I won't be surprised when the MTA or the city gets its act together to build Phases 3 and 4, only for the price to balloon to $10 billion per mile. Number 9. Wait times. Outside of rush hour, the frequencies for a train are just so terrible. For example, the R train. This thing runs every 15 minutes on weekends. If you miss an R train, that is 15 minutes out of your day. Sometimes the wait times are just plain ridiculous, like the F train, where there is an F train in 2 minutes, 4 minutes, then 32 minutes. Like, who's writing the schedules for these trains? Number 10. When the local surpasses the express. There's nothing more infuriating when the local train surpasses the express train. The express train is supposed to be the fast train, and the local train is supposed to be the slow train. But sometimes, the express starts slowing down only for the local to pass by. What makes it worse is when you transferred from that local train to the express train because you thought it would be faster. Number 11. When your express train gets rerouted to the local. This is not a problem when you're trying to get to a local station. It becomes a problem when you expect a fast ride from an express, only for it to be switched onto the local. The number of stops doubles or even triples, and the amount of time you spend on that train goes up. What makes it worse is, when you transfer from that local to the express. Number 12. Dumb reverse curves. We all agree that turning is a necessary part of the New York City subway. But in some places, planners took it way too seriously to the point where curves are too sharp and trains have slowed down to 10 miles per hour while making the most ear-piercing noise possible. Number 13. CBTC installation delays. CBTC is the future of signaling on the New York City subway. But the installation process is just so slow. It took the MTA 10 years to CBTC Canarsie and 7 years for the MTA to CBTC Flushing. Like, compare that with the automation of Line 1 of the Paris Metro, and that only took 5 or 6 years. So, we are the outlier here. But I will give props to the MTA, as they are speeding up that work to increase the number of lines that are getting CBTC. But still, that work is just too slow. Number 14. Politics. No one really likes politics, but politics make the MTA more complex than it needs to be. The reason why we can't get things on time and on budget? Politics. The reason why the MTA is underfunded and takes on more debt? Politics. The reason why we can't have new subway projects be considered? Politics. Number 15. When your train gets delayed. This is the most classic thing every commuter dislikes. Delays. Imagine this. You hop on a train. Everything seems well. Then the conductor is like, oh yeah, due to some problem 69 miles south, this train will stop in the middle of nowhere. Then you're stuck here for like 20 minutes. Once the train moves, your hopes increase, but that train will only move a couple of feet before it stops and it will destroy your hopes. Yeah, good luck trying to get out of that delay. So that is it for 15 things most commuters dislike about the New York City subway, or what I really dislike about the New York City subway, as I cannot speak for all commuters. What are your thoughts on my selections? Let us know in the comments below, and have a good day.